Long before Ned Kelly became Australia's most famous outlaw, the roads around Beechworth were already a battleground. Gold worth millions of dollars travelled through these mountains and valleys, and where gold flowed, bushrangers followed. Armed gangs stalked lonely tracks, ambushed travellers, and vanished into the wilderness before police could catch them. Today, most people remember the Kelly Gang. Few remember the decades of violence, robberies, and manhunts that turned Beechworth into one of Australia's most dangerous frontiers. This is the forgotten story of Beechworth's Bushranger Wars. Nestled among the hills of northeastern Victoria, Beechworth exploded into life after gold was discovered in the early 1850s. Within a few years, tens of thousands of miners had flooded into the district. Goldfields stretched across nearby towns including Yakandanda, Stanley, and El Dorado. Every week, heavily guarded escorts carried enormous quantities of gold through rugged country towards Melbourne. The wealth was staggering. But the steep forests, winding tracks, and isolated settlements created the perfect hunting ground for criminals. As fortunes were dug from the earth, a different kind of gold rush began. The bushrangers had arrived. One of the earliest and most feared gangs was led by Daniel Mad Dog Morgan. By the early 1860s, Morgan had become a nightmare for settlers throughout northeastern Victoria. Travellers moving through the Beechworth district never knew when a rifle barrel might suddenly emerge from the trees. Morgan was unlike many bushrangers. He seemed to enjoy creating fear as much as stealing money. On lonely roads, he would stop coaches, rob passengers, and sometimes force his victims to sit with him while he shared a meal and conversation. Survivors later described the strange calmness of a man who could laugh one moment and threaten murder the next. As Morgan's crimes escalated, police launched massive manhunts across the region. Yet he repeatedly escaped. The dense eucalyptus forests swallowed tracks. Fresh horse prints disappeared into rocky gullies. Frustrated officers often arrived hours too late. Then came one of the most dramatic robberies in Victorian history. Throughout the 1850s and 1860s, gold escorts carrying thousands of ounces of gold moved through the district under armed guard. Bushranger gangs constantly targeted these shipments. Rumours spread through pubs and mining camps of hidden lookout networks, inside informants, and secret bushranger camps hidden deep within the ranges. Every journey became a gamble. Drivers listened nervously to the creaking of wagon wheels. Horses snorted in the cold mountain air. Every bend in the road concealed potential danger. The conflict became so intense that Beechworth developed one of the largest police presences in colonial Victoria. Yet despite the growing law enforcement effort, bushrangers continued to thrive. Then, in the late 1870s, a young outlaw named Ned Kelly emerged from a district. Kelly did not create the bushranger culture around Beechworth. He inherited it. The stories of Morgan and earlier gangs had already become local legend. Distrust between police and sections of the community was deeply entrenched. The region had spent decades living between law and outlaw. When the Kelly Gang appeared, the stage had already been set. Their final capture at Glenrowan in June 1880 effectively marked the end of the bushranger era in northeastern Victoria. But by then, Beechworth had lived through nearly 30 years of conflict. Today, Beechworth is one of Australia's best-preserved gold rush towns. Visitors stroll past historic buildings, quiet streets, and restored courthouses. Few realise these same roads once echoed with galloping horses, police whistles, and the crack of gunfire. The Bushranger Wars helped shape Australia's fascination with rebels, authority, and the myth of life in the bush. They also transformed policing across colonial Victoria. The legend of Ned Kelly may dominate Australian history, but the story began long before his gang rode into the spotlight. Hidden among Beechworth's hills lies the memory of a forgotten war, one fought not on battlefields, but on lonely roads where fortunes, freedom, and lives could disappear in an instant. If you enjoyed this story and would like to see more forgotten, unusual, and fascinating chapters of Australian history, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. New videos are released regularly, exploring the places, people, and events that help shape Australia, often hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.